do our yin yang balanced yogi class. So let's start by coming into, we're going to start with either saddle pose or sphinx. And with saddle pose, you can check it out, see if you have this flexibility. But you sit on your heels or in between your heels, and then you come back onto your elbows, and then you drop your head. And maybe you could come all the way down. Now, if that's not in the stars today, mm-hmm. There's because it's yin yoga, you always get this thing of like, yes, any of those work. So some people are strangely flexible where they can even take their foot out to the side. So either pointing straight back, which is more, for most people, not stress. Exactly. So you'll notice you're at different places in the posture. Wherever you are, just make friends with that spot. And just close your eyes for these next couple of breaths. Take a couple moments to listen. You hear that rogue plane. I don't know if you've noticed how fewer flights there are. Hear a car. Notice the crickets. The sound of the wind. And then really imagine pulling your senses inward. Turn your listening inward. Turn your gaze inward. And just see what is. And we can imagine our bones like the rocks of our body. We can feel close to animals through our muscles, our reflexes. We can imagine our waters are like waters in the ocean, when we even have salt in the blood, salt in our tears. Start to notice your breath. Observe that you can feel your breath in your lungs, but beyond rationale, you can actually feel like you're breathing into your whole body. Celebrating that all these different parts of us work together as a whole, seamlessly, without our attention even. As you start to find a rhythm to your breath, maybe feel the grass below you breathing with you. the wind coordinating with you. And just like our liver feels as much a part of our body as our kidney does, we want to take that as we move back into a balanced place and feel like we're part of this earth and part of this nature, like the trees, the bees, the crickets, even those pesky little hens. And take 10 more full, deep breaths, counting for yourself quietly, and after your 10th breath, come out of the pose, whichever one you're in. So to come out of Sphinx, of course, just lay down on your belly. And the other poses, you can either roll to your side or come up, both helping you with your elbows. And however you get there, find your way onto your belly. You can even stack your forearms to allow your forehead to rest without your nose getting jammed into the grass. Maybe wiggling your hips side to side or wiggling your toes, making sure they all still work. And then take your hands underneath your shoulders and push your hips back to your heels. Cross your ankles and roll over your crossed ankles and come into butterfly pose. So the tradition is that you have your heels 2 hand lengths away from your groin. Now, if you're super flexible, you're welcome to bring your heels closer because it will just give more of a stretch to your hips. The other cool thing is you can put your feet up higher if you want. And if you need a block, I've got lots of block. Just raise your hand anytime. Lift up your chest. Maybe even daringly drop your head back. And then with your next exhale, gently roll down and soften towards your feet. Let your head hang. Familiarize yourself with the posture. Maybe, check out your feet. So once we find our way into the posture, often we find like, oh, that place feels a little or that thing is a little And see how much you can make friends with the pose. Imagine instead of pushing and pulling into it, that you're surrendering into it, dropping into it, softening. So one of the things I've been doing, actually for years now, but um, especially in the last couple of months, I've been listening to Carolyn Mace, and she's been pretty diligent since kind of the pandemic of publishing kind of these stream of consciousness videos, or like just kind of talking about once a week or so. And one of the things that I love about finding a teacher that you like grok with is they say things that either you've been saying for years or you know is true, you feel it in your bones, but haven't heard it before. Bless you all. Let it out, baby. You're outside. And one of the kind of mantras that she echoed that I've heard from different places over the years is this idea of getting out of the habit of separation, and to really have this like mantra of, if it's making me fractured, then it's not the way forward. If I can stay whole and make that choice, then that's the way to go. And one way to start to play with that and look at it is, have you ever had like a moment where you make a decision that's only good for one part of your idea or one part of your kind of livelihood? So one example could be like working a job you don't like just for the money. So it seems like it's a sensible thing to do because we need money for life's, basics. But oddly enough, that kind of choice can split us in two. So we send ourselves off to go do work that we don't actually agree with or actually kind of belong to. And that would be a picture of being fractured, being divided. And it's one thing to contemplate this holism and like the staying undivided in your individuality. But it's a whole nother practice to remember to do that in our cognition around that we're part of the earth. We're not separate from it. We're part of this human organism. We're not outside of it. Because it's so hard to remember that we're connected even to people we don't like and are annoying, or people who have really, really different ideas than us. With your next inhale, roll up. And then take your hands behind you. We're going to do a lion's pose. So put your feet down on the ground, lift up your hips, drop your head back, stick out your tongue, and with a whisper, roar like a lion. Take another full inhale and roar. Okay, one more roar. Woohoo! Does that make you roary? All right, bring your hips back down to the ground. Cross your ankles and come into child's pose. Let your hips sink back. And then take your hands into prayer and bring your thumbs to the back of your neck. And feel it's a very specific way to stretch your armpits. But you want to feel your chest kind of dropping down to the earth. And just maybe find a place you want to focus your practice on, or find a kind of dedication that would make you more whole, more complete. And then release your hands forward. Stretch your arms even so that your hips push back to your heels. Take a full inhale, tuck your toes under, and with your exhale, lift up to downward facing dog and bend your knees really deeply. Feel your hips being pulled up and back. And then straighten one leg and then bend that knee again and then straighten the other leg. So you notice you do a little leg wiggle with your hips naturally. And then bend both of your knees again. And bend your elbows and let your elbows hover over your yoga mat and squeeze the bony part of your elbows together. Keep lifting your hips up and back. Feel the power in your body like you're about to spring forward. And if you're able, drop your elbows down to the ground. Let your head stay lifted. You can squeeze your elbows closer together, Robin. And then stretch your legs a little longer again. Maybe you stretch them all away, maybe not quite. And then look at your fingertips. Oh, they're so cute. Nice. Beautiful. And then step your feet a little closer together and lift your right leg up to the sky. Oh, notice that you're not looking at your fingernails anymore. You can keep looking forward. You're on your elbows. If it's not okay for your arm, then you can extend your arms, Sita. Yeah. And then come all the way down to child's pose, knowing that you're going to have to do the other leg. Let your hips sink down. That's right, baby. Let the sounds come out through your mouth to help digest your feelings. This time, lift up onto your hands and knees. And you're gonna like reach your hips up and back so you have an anterior tilt, like stick your booty out. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can even wiggle it side to side a little bit, like sassiness. Yes, beautiful. With that anterior tilt, drop your elbows down to the ground, tuck your toes, and lift up into dolphin again. Step your feet closer together. Take a gaze at your fingertips. If you find the mat is in your way, so your head's bumping, just squeeze your elbows a little closer together. Or if your name's Yoel. Now lift your other leg up to the sky.
With the knee bent?
With your knee, your standing leg can be bent, but it can be fully extended as well. Imagine squeezing your inner thighs together even though your legs are scissoring apart. Yes, and then come back down to child's pose. So dolphin, with your elbows on the ground, with your feet, both your feet on the ground, is a really nice way to build strength for a headstand. But it's one of the few postures that really strengthens your shoulders while keeping them open at the same time. Now tuck your toes under. Elbows on the ground. Squeeze your elbows in and lift up one more time into dolphin pose. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, see if you can straighten both of your arms and come into downward facing dog. Oh yeah, beautiful. Now inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. Bend your knee, let your hips spin open. And at first, kind of playful, like just kind of feel it out a little bit. Let your left heel drop down, fingers spread out. And then really bend your knee, try to pull your foot to your buttocks, flexing your foot. And then see if you can have your head dropped. You're looking at the inside of your left toe. And then energetically, you're pulling your right armpit to your left toe. Oh, yeah. It's an energetic thing. So what you're doing is you're taking the twist out of your shoulders. So you go, there you go. And then release your leg down. And with your next inhale, stretch your other leg up. Notice that you're starting to burn a little bit just because I'm making you stay long and slow in this downward facing dog. Now bend your knee, work it out, flex your foot, make your leg active. You feel you're spreading your hips apart here. So you're stamping down onto the ground with your right foot instead of especially your right heel. And then energetically, you're pulling your left armpit towards the inside of your right foot. Beautiful. And then release your left leg down. Now inhale, come forward into plank. Pull your belly in, lift up through your shoulders, gaze lifted. Imagine lifting the back of your throat a little bit. Yes. And then inch forward and slowly lower down, all the way down to the ground. Flip your toes over. Push down to the floor with your toes. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, release and come down. Now, take your hands and tense your fingers. Yep, you make them into little tents. Or it's like high heel your fingers. I don't know. And then inhale, low cobra again. Notice how much more you have to work with your legs. Push your toenails down. All of them, even the little pinky toe that doesn't want to do anything. And then lower down. Now that same activity in your legs, you want to have that for upward facing dog. So slide your hands even further towards your hips. Squeeze your elbows together. Inhale, lift up. Strengthen your legs so that your thighs are floating off the ground. Get really active. Keep your chest coming forward. So lift your nipples up. Yay, baby. We all got them. Put your feet on the ground. That's like the part that's pushing down to lift you up. Oh. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in with your exhale. Just sigh it out. Very good, Dean. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath out all the way. Look forward and walk or hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Glide your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Let your head drop. Your neck soften. Push down with your feet. Roll up, stretch up. Lift up to the sky. And with your exhale, bring your hands through heart center and just drop your hands down by your side. So our whole vinyasa really is about perfecting the way we live in our body, how we're connected to our body. So this uprightness is what we're trying to strengthen. So see if you can feel it as we flow. Where is the uprightness of the posture? Inhale, stretch your arms up and maybe look up. It's quite bright up there though. And then with your exhale, bow forward. Let your knees be soft. Drop your head down. Find the uprightness even here. Belly lifts up. Inhale, halfway lift. Flat back unless you walk around with a hunchback normally. And then step back to plank. Now, you have a beautiful scenery to look out here. So look out at the horizon or look at the forest. And you want to keep that gaze, like this is a staring contest. Don't lose that gaze as you slowly lower down chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Now you can start to lift up away from the gaze if you want. Exhale, downward facing dog. Did that feel a little different for you perhaps? So what it can do is it can activate the upper part of your abdominals there. Often we drop our head too quickly in chaturanga. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath all the way and hop your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Glide your chest forward. Exhale, release and bow down. Let your head drop. Push down with your feet. Roll up to the sky. Reach up. And with your exhale, Samastitihi. And then slide your feet together, bend your knees, drop your butt, inhale, Utkatasana. Now really sit into your seat. See if you can lift up your toes. See if you can relax your forehead. Can you find the uprightness in this posture? It's a little elusive. Yes, that's beautiful. Feel your chest open. Take another full inhale, welcoming the burning of your thighs. Ooh, yeah. And then exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, chaturanga or the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Nice pair. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, bring your right knee to your nose. Feel your belly suck up to your spine. Get curved in your back. Then inhale, stretch your right leg long, and exhale, same action, bring your knee forward, and then step your right foot next to your right thumb. Let your left knee come down to the ground and lift up, supported crescent lunge. Now just slide your left knee back a little bit more. Drop into the splits kind of feeling here, And then imagine you have, I don't know, I don't know, two hands on either side of your hips, pushing your hips together. Oh, yes. So it gives you a little, precise. Let your heart lift up. And with that, you should feel more freedom in your back and let your chest lift up and arch back. Take another full inhale. And with your exhale, bring your hands to the inside of your right foot. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee and then just open up your left arm. That's your right arm. Your right arm would be, sorry, I meant your right arm. That is correct. You guys are doing beautifully. Take another full inhale, let your heart open. And then with your exhale, chaturanga, or you can always come straight back to downward facing dog. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. Exhale, bend your knee, bring your knee to your chest, belly lifts up, arch your back. Inhale, stretch your leg long, same action, pull your knee forward, feel your abdominals carry your leg, step your foot all the way forward to your left thumb. Right knee drops down, slide it back a little bit so you really drop into the split feeling here. And then let your inner thighs suck up together. Raise your arms up. Feel that the more action you find in your legs, the more freedom you feel in your back. Take another full inhale, open up your heart, open up the chest, challenge yourself. And then with your exhale, bring your hands to the inside of your left foot. Tuck your right toes under, and then inhale, extend your leg, and then lift up your left arm, twisting here. So it's a lizard twist. With the exhale, find your vinyasa. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bend your knees, stick your booty up to the sky. For me, one of the things that happens when I do this is I just find I can connect to my own power. It's like I imagine it's like a cat kind of like contracting in to pounce or something. Feel your Uddiyana Bandha, your belly button sucking towards your spine. Feel your root lock, your Mula Bandha. Take another full inhale. Empty your breath all the way. Look forward. Hop or jump or walk your feet in between your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Fill up the back of your lungs. Exhale, release and bow down. Let your head drop. Bend your knees, drop your booty. Inhale, Utkatasana. With your exhale, bring your hands to heart center, toes and heels touching, twist to your right. Then drop your left elbow to the outside of your knee. Inhale, lift up your chest. And now you get to choose. You can either stay here, or you can see if you can start to just float your left leg. Because why not? Oh, because you want to breathe. Float your left leg and breathe. And then bring it back down. Right next to it. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center and twist to your left. Slide your feet together, Sita Love. Feel your shoulder blades pulling down your spine, away from your ears. Notice if you want a challenge here. And a challenge is really the edge of our practice. It's where we might eat dirt, yeah? It's a nice way of saying you might fall over, you might biff, you might spill. And then release your right foot down to the ground. Inhale, Utkatasana. With your exhales, take your hands behind your butt, interlace your fingers, lift up your heart, and then bow forward. Let your head drop. Inhale, Utkatasana. Arms raise up to the sky. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, halfway lift. Walk or float. Exhale, sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, stretch your right leg up to the sky. And with your exhale, step your right foot all the way forward to your right thumb. And rise up, crescent lunge, your back heels lifted. Now with your exhale, you're going to bring your hands to heart center and twist to your right. Notice you nearly feel like you've been here before. If you were shy from Utkatasana to lift your leg, maybe it's a little easier now. With your left elbow to the outside of your right knee, even pushing against each other to help each other. Maybe see if you can shift the weight into your right foot and start to lift up onto your toes on your left foot. Maybe float it. Take another full inhale here. With your exhale, put your back foot down and open up for warrior two. It's okay. Dancing warrior is okay. Now, you want to look at your feet for a moment. So look down at your front foot first and open it up so it's pointing straight into the woods. Beautiful. Now, notice if your shoulders are hiked up into your ears. Not so sexy. Drop your shoulders down. Now notice this is a very intermediate problem, that we lift up our left hip. So drop your left hip. I know, it's hard work. Reach through your fingertips. Notice that we can refine and we can refine. So whenever you're checking out, that's literally just up to you. Take another full inhale here. With your exhale, bring your hands back behind your hips. Is that nicer? And then drop your head down for a humble warrior. So a humble warrior, what is that even? It's hard work. It's the strongest warrior who doesn't have to throw a punch. Bend your right knee more. Sita. Yeah. Let your head drop right to the inside of your right foot and your knuckles go up to the heavens. Now, you can stay powerful here because you're the humble warrior, the mighty and strong, and release your hands and just stretch them out underneath your right thigh. Yeah, beautiful. And then bring your hands down to the mat. You might have your right hand, your foot, your left hand, or you have your foot, both hands. And then you're going to bend your elbows and see if you can connect your left elbow to your left hip. That's your training wheel. Venstre. Links. And then bring your weight forward to your fingertips and stretch your legs out. Stretch your toes. Lift your chest, Yoel. Yeah, baby. Lift it up. There you go. Now lift your left leg high, and then you have room to jump back to chaturanga. Woo! Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in, and with your exhale, sigh out. Woo! Inhale, stretch your left leg up to the sky. Yeah. Exhale, step your left foot all the way forward to your left thumb. Rise up, crescent lunge. And with your exhale, bring it into heart center and twist to your left. So it's really easy to get so focused on our hands and our left foot that the right leg gets kind of hazy. See how powerful you can get in the right leg. Feel your inner thighs squeezing together again. It's going to encourage the Mula Bandha, much more so than the forehead squeeze or the lip squeeze. Now notice if you can shift your weight forward to your left foot. Keep the squeeze between your inner thighs and lift your right leg up, perhaps. Get strong with it. So if you have a baby that's like fallen asleep, like that's the heaviest version of them. I don't know if you've noticed this. But they're so much heavier than when they're jumping into your arms because they're not awake in their body. All right, exhale, relax your back foot down and open up warrior two. Remember what you changed on the other side? So if we tend to be really flexible, we depend on that and we can get kind of passive about getting strong. If we tend to be strong, we depend on that and we get kind of passive about getting more flexible. So look at your foot, make sure your foot's pointing the same direction as your knee. Notice if you're lifting up your perineum. There used to be days where your teachers would check for you. Those days are long gone. Take another full inhale here. And then with your exhale, clasp your hands behind your back. Now check it out. Just switch your grip from last time. And then bow. If you're not sure, the first one you go to is the one you did last time. Bow down. So notice how much trust you have to be humble. So you drop your head to the inside of your left foot. Very much like you were going to do standing splits next, but we did a different sequence, you lucky thing. And then just open your wings underneath your leg. Stretch them out. Beautiful Sana. Now, if you want to, I forget what I was going to say. No, just kidding. Okay, bring your hands down to the inside of your foot, or you can have the left hand on the outside of your left foot and then toe heel your left foot to the left. Now bend your elbows and bring your right elbow. This is your training wheel. Eventually, pair, you don't need it there. Now lift up your chest. Stretch your legs. Keep your chest up. Look at the horizon. Look at the bushes. Do you see any deer out there? Exactly. And then do the posture while you're looking. Lift your right leg high and exhale. Sweet chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or low cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. All right. Now start to just bounce your knees a little bit. Let your knees bend. Maybe get enough of a shake going that all the soft parts in your body start to wiggle. Maybe you can get all of your cheeks wiggling too. And then just start to jump to the outside of your mat, to the inside of your mat, to the outside, to the inside, the outside, inside, outside, inside. So these are downward facing dog jumping jacks. Keep it going. Find playfulness, find a lightness. Now, if this is too easy for you, Robin, feel free to jump forward and backward, out and in. Forward and backward, out and in. Forward and backward, out and in. It's nearly like the tango. No. Forward and backward, out and in. A couple more times. You want to start to build up your heat. Notice if it's getting up there. For 5, 4. You can do it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Come to downward facing dog. Take another full inhale. And then drop your elbows down to the ground with the exhale. Just your elbows. Squeeze your elbows in. You can even take your hands and put your hands either side of a block like this. Yes. Looking at the block. If you can't put your elbows on the ground, that's fine. You can, if you want, you can put the block like this and take your hands like this. Now, step your feet a little bit closer. Stretch one of your legs up to the sky. You can try this pair if you want. Hands down flat. Look at the block. And then maybe lift up. So maybe lift up a little bit. Maybe just think about it. Maybe imagine it. Meditate it. Lift up. Oh, I'm sorry. Lift up the leg that's still on the ground. Beautiful, Anna. I find it helps to look at the block. And the reason it helps to look at the block or your hands is because then you don't collapse your shoulders as easily. You don't collapse your head as easily. And then come back down onto the ground. Child's pose. Ooh, take a moment. Hopefully this breeze feels mighty juicy for you. And Sana, that's always a good question. And then lift up onto your knees. Up taller. So bring your hands to your lower back. We're preparing for camel pose. And I know you might still feel like you've got your breath going, and that's okay. We're going to keep it going. These are the moments we practice for in life. So squeeze your elbows together. Lift up your chest. Let your hips thrust forward. Push your shins down. Lift your chest up and drop your head back. Now either stay here or drop your hands down to your heels. If it's easy for you to grab your heels, you're always welcome to slide your hands to your knees. Keep your hips pushing forward. If you were to let go of your heels, you should roll forward like a wheel. Stick out your tongue and with a whisper, roar like a lion. And then exhale, come into child's pose. And then tuck your toes under and lift back up into dolphin pose. So with the yoga block, you want to stretch all your fingers equally. You want to not overstretch your thumbs. Yeah? So you're going to take the yoga block and you're going to line it up so that your thumb is pushing to the side here. And it's going to the not all the way down, but just to the first knuckle. Is that the first knuckle? The middle knuckle of your index finger. And then squeeze your elbows in. Imagine you're pushing down the inside of your wrists. Tuck your toes under. Lift up. Now, one thing you want to do before you stretch any leg up into the sky is just check in, like be playful. Imagine you can already do this. Like some version of you probably can. And then stretch. Your head keeps looking at the block. That's what I find helpful. This way your head doesn't touch the ground. It's called peacock pose. With a straight back eventually. So remember, squeeze your inner thighs together, just the way you did in several poses already. Beautiful. Squeeze your legs together, Robin, and breathe. The hardest thing is a lot of times, like, we'll hit that moment that both legs up on the ground and we go, ah! And then you could just roll down the hill. That's cool. And then come into child's pose.
But it's the belly, right, that's holding everything.
The belly is the holy coordinator of upstairs and downstairs. So
Is it the arms that are holding you?
it's your body. Like, okay, so let's dial back a little bit. Let's think about how we started class today. And I wanted you to imagine being part of this earth. Imagine this holism thing. So in your posture, it's actually not these disparate parts. It's how you coordinate the whole. So come up onto your knees. I know, not obnoxious, huh? Stand tall as you can on your knees. It's not as tall as you're used to. Isn't it amazing? Aren't we happy for our shins? Okay. And then take your hands back behind you. Maybe spin your fingers pointing up to give you lots of space in your lower back. Squeeze your elbows together. What this does is it helps your shoulders come in so that you have more space to arch your back. And then drop back into your exquisite Uttayana camel. The reason we don't have camels here is because our environment they don't need to be in our environment. Let me say, how do you say that? You find camels on the desert because of their amazing ability to store water in their body. Maybe roar like a lion, maybe giggle like something else. Yeah. And then exhale, come into child's pose. So it'd be like a waste of a camelness to have a camel in Sweden. All right. So we're just at that edge. We're like, if we stopped now, like we'd be fine. But we're at that point where at the last repetitions of like weightlifting, our body is warm and open. So let's give it a little bit more fire before we cool down. Come up to your elbows. Unimas, one more time. Now, yogi's choice. If you would prefer to do a handstand or a headstand and hold it here, you're welcome to. Else, feel free to come practice peacock one more time. Play with it a little bit. One of the things about being outside that is really great is that the ground is softer. Keep squeezing your elbows together. Pair. Bring your chin to your chest a little bit more, so you're more on the top of your head. You're still quite forward on your forehead. Lion. Pair lion, daddy lion. Yep, that's right. DJ Daddy Lion. Nice, Yul. Now pull your ribs in. That's the hardest part. Get taller. Yeah, very nice. Beautiful Sana. Allow yourself to breathe, Sita. Come to mama. Do you want an assist? Keep looking at the block.
It's very hard for my neck.
Okay.
I think I'm scared.
That's absolutely correct. And then find your way into child's pose. Slowly, no rush. If you've done handstand, you can also do a forward bend or a different forward bend. Nice control, Sana. So just notice. Let your head go. And it's not what you think, but come up onto your elbows. I promise it's not what you think. And then stretch your legs back and come into a forearm plank. Pear pointed out to me yesterday, it's not forearm downward facing dog, it's plank. So get that booty out of there. Yes. Drop your booty a little bit, Yoel. Mm-hmm. If it's not challenging, it's not quite there yet, yeah? Beautiful. Now maybe see if you can relax your forehead. I don't think I can do a back bend without it. Lift your hips a little bit, Robin. Yes. Lift up in between your shoulder blades. Yes. And then see if you can actually just bring your right knee forward all the way to your right elbow. And then set up for half pigeon. So bring your right knee forward to your other right elbow. And you're going to stretch your left leg back. Now, if you're really tight, you have a block there, so you might here, I'll do it this way. If you're lifted up, you might like putting a block underneath your buttocks here. If you don't have a block, or if that doesn't feel like it helps you, you can also actually let your left hip open a little bit. And the way you do that is you roll onto your right hip, let your left knee bend, and that way your hips aren't totally squared, but you can still come into the posture in a gentle, friendly way. Bring your chest forward, walk your hands forward.
But is this to keep it up or is it to make it relaxed?
It's to make it relaxed. Good question. So you use blocks and blankets to bring the earth up to you.
Yeah.
Is the idea?
Yeah.
So I found a wonderful poem today. It's by Nikita Gill, and she's a contemporary poet, meaning she's not dead yet. And you might notice I'm using that wonderful pronoun she. She's also a woman. I believe she's half Indian, half English, but she British Indian. Mm-hmm. And I think this poem is just very, very perfect for our challenges these days, and the obstacles that lie in our path towards holism. And it's called Monsters Mine. I've been interviewing monsters lately. The sirens inform me that they were just doing their job. And Hydra tells me she still doesn't know what she did wrong. The Stymphalian birds said they only wanted to protect where they belonged. It's a worrying thought that monsters may actually have been heroically fighting to protect what's theirs from invaders and against the odds. That we may need monsters. What else will ever help us make sense of the gods? I'm going to read it again. I've been interviewing monsters lately. The sirens inform me that they were just doing their jobs. And Hydra tells me she didn't know what she did wrong. The Stymphalian birds said they only wanted to protect where they belonged. It's a worrying thought that the monsters may actually have been heroically fighting to protect what's theirs from invaders and against the odds. That we may need monsters. What else will ever help us make sense of the gods? It's so easy these days to go, oh, look, they're a monster. They're horrible. They're dumb. They don't know. And turn our attention somewhere else. But this is really the moment we are at. What change is there if we don't also change with our oppressor? If we just keep flipping the story from slave to master to slave, from right to wrong to right, it's like we're still on the same seesaw. A battle of power. With no change, actually. Now come up onto your elbows, and you're going to slide, so I'll be your mirror for you. You're going to slide your left arm behind your right elbow and roll onto your left shoulder. And then maybe you take your right arm up and wrap it around behind you. And you may even be lucky enough to have your right fingers find your right big toe, other right toe. Sita, relax your head. I know. Tita. So, and then it comes around.
Ah, there.
Yeah. And then with grace or without her, come back to center. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders and just come up into plank. See, being friendly with getting stronger. Maybe smile. Think some good thoughts. And then bring your left knee to your left wrist. Setting up for the other side. Maybe putting a block underneath your left buttocks or letting your right knee bend, rolling your weight a little to the left. Stretch your arms forward. And after you've decided, oh, I like this pose, oh, I don't like this pose, then go a little further. I think it was, I was going to, all I can think of is Tupac. But I'm not trying to quote Tupac right now. God love him. But I'm trying to quote Thich Nhat Hanh. Same. But he talked about how you have to hug your monsters, else they're going to bite you in the ass. And this expression is such a beautiful theme and practice that we can all take up because we all have our own monsters. especially the ones that live underneath our very own skin. And this idea of like, the first step is in this poem. Like maybe they're just doing what they think is right, or they're doing their job. And why would it be something or some part of our job to scare ourselves? What would that wake us up to? So as you play with these ideas of holism, the hardest part is not just putting yourself against something else. The hardest part is getting out of this habitual script of antagonist and protagonist, the good guy and the bad guy, those who understand and get it and those who don't. And this lives so deeply in us that I think it's going to take lifetimes, generations to really get anywhere in the work. But we're the ones who are starting. We're the ones here now. It's never an accident. You're always in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, even if it feels not like that. But this is part of why it's helpful to remember that we're part of Earth, not separate from it. The Earth plays a role in every one of our relationships. It hosts and holds and brings us to the place where we can be most powerful, most helpful, of the most service. Now lift up onto your elbows and sneak your right arm behind your left elbow. I mean, it's probably going to notice. Let your right shoulder, roll onto your right shoulder. And then lift up your left arm, perhaps bending your elbow and wrapping your arm behind you. It's like half a hug. Notice how we always are, oh, can I give you a hug or can I have a hug? It's such awkward and clumsy language. Because a hug always will be shared. It's not yours, it's not mine. But it's available to us. It's possible if there's more than one. At first I just thought it was ironic, or not even ironic, but serendipitous. But isn't it kind of weird that even to call something sacred, we call it holy? It's not the same root for the word. But to be whole, is that part of being sacred, part of being holy? And then roll all the way onto your back. And you are going to make sure the block's not going to get in your way. You're going to hug your knees to your chest and you're going to rock and roll 180 degrees. So you're actually massaging your back and you're going to point your feet to me, who are not your guru. And then stretch yourself out into Shavasana. And If you don't have a blanket, I have extra. So raise your hand if you want a blanket. And
I'm good.
you're good. You're good. Do you want one? I mean, you don't have to have it. You will. Robin, was that yes? Okay. Woo! It's a little windy out here than in the classroom. Thank you. With your next inhale, invite your breath to the edges of your body. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe reach your arms over your head, stretch your feet away from your hips. Get long, and then with your exhale, curl into a ball and roll onto your side, just hugging your cheese. Don't hug your cheese. Hug your knees to your chest. And then roll over. And then come up into a seated position. Making sure I don't roll down the hill. Bring your hands to heart center. Lift up tall, and let's sound one Om. Take a deep inhale. Bring your prayer hands to your third eye. Invite the divine light. And as we bow forward together, we say, Namaste. And so much love. Can't be very noisy. Well done. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you.
For sure, for sure.